jumping ahead, reclaim kibosh. This is really good. I have ADHD, so I'm looking through doing research on the book, and I go, well, this jumped out at me. So I immediately went to this chapter, like, what in the world is he talking about? I want you to set it up.
Yeah.
And then I've got a follow-up question. So what do you mean when you say reclaim kibosh?
Yeah.
Am I saying that right?
Yeah, you are. I've heard it different ways. I mean,
that's why I'm asking.
The place that I've heard, the place that I wrote about, that when I thought about this word, I thought about, there's a Seinfeld episode where the guy's name is Crazy Joe Davola. And he leaves this voicemail on Jerry's machine, and he says, "Hey, Jerry, I heard you put the kibosh on my deal with NBC. Well, I just want to let you know, Jerry, that I'm going to put the kibosh on you. I have kiboshed before, and I will kibosh again."
Yeah, I remember
and it's
that
like
episode.
The sinister moment that Joe Davola has.
So I don't know if it's kibosh or kibosh.
I don't know. I've always heard it kibosh.
Okay,
but Joe Davola definitely says, I put the kibosh on it.
Yeah.
But what I started thinking through, okay, what am I supposed to do with this ambition that's in me? Mm-hmm. Because I want to lead more, but I don't want to be subversive to the spot that God has put me in. That I am under a leader. I'm clearly under a leader. I tell the story all the time, Ken. Recently, this lady was at our church, and she's standing in line asking if she can get her picture made with me. And I was like, this is unbelievable. No one... I mean, like ladies in high school used to line up to get their picture made with me, right? You know, same
absolutely.
with you?
Well, no, actually, no.
No, me either. Not true either.
No.
So I couldn't believe it, and turns out she thought I was Andy Stanley.
Oh, that's
And when
hilarious.
I tell her that I'm not, she puts her phone back in her pocket and walks off.
Yeah, of course.
So I know what it's like to work for someone. That's what I'm doing. But I have a sense of ambition. I feel like it's in me to lead more. I've wanted, ever since I was a kid, I wanted to lead more. And I don't know what to do with that. So I was wrestling through with this, and I thought about the way we were created, the creation story in Genesis 1. There's two mandates that God gives us. He says, number one, go fill the earth. Mm-hmm. That's fun and terrific. Number two, he says, go subdue the earth. Go bring the earth under bring the plants and the birds and the beasts and bring it under your control, not to snuff it out and to just make it do what you want it to do, but to let it thrive, to bring something good, make something good with it, which I think is what great leadership is. It's making order out of things so that they flourish. And that Hebrew word there is the verb kibosh. And I thought, now that's really fascinating that God has put the mandate of kibosh on us, but yet we've perverted it somehow. Yeah. Because when Joe Davola is talking to Jerry Seinfeld, he's not saying, Jerry, I'm going to help you flourish. No. He's saying, Jerry, I'm going to squash your idea.
Yeah, I'm going to shut it down.
I'm going to shut it down, which is authoritative leadership. That's what we have made leadership, is we've made it this authoritative, I got to be in charge, and now shut up and sit down because I'm in charge and you better listen to me. And so what the chapter is really about, reclaiming that healthy sense of ambition of, I think it's okay. To every leader that's listening, I think it's not just okay. I think it is the fingerprint of God that you want to lead more. I think that's normal. I think that's healthy. But now you got to figure out, what does that mean? And then Jesus in Mark 10 said, hey, do not be like those leaders that lord their authority over others, but watch the way I did it. Watch the way I'm doing it. And he said, follow me. I became the least of these. I became the servant. Yeah. So I think he's giving us a model on how to reclaim kibosh or kibosh.
And so the follow-up is, we've established that the ambition to lead, the ambition to succeed, to be all that you were created to be.
Yes.
We believe that. That's theology.
That's healthy. Yeah.
Okay, so
that's the Ken Coleman show right there.
Well, it is. It absolutely is. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Appreciate that little plug. But let's talk about it. What does it look like?
Yeah.
Because we have people leaning in right now, and they're going, okay, so Clay, you just told me it's okay for me to want more. But when does ambition begin to go from healthy to unhealthy? Curious how you would define it. Draw a picture. What's that line? Because I'm telling you, this is something I struggled with mightily. Yeah. And through maturity, my faith growing, and then obviously being with a strong leader like Dave, learning how to figure that out and still wrestle with it on some level. Not as much as
I don't know that it ever goes away.
What does it look like? What's unhealthy ambition?
Yeah. I mean, the way I see it as a spectrum. And I see on one side, you've got the, hey, get out of my way because I'm going to lead no matter what. And it's the leader that maybe is thinking today, I got to leave the organization I'm in so that I can go. And, the great thing is God uses that. I mean, a lot of great things have started because of people that said, hey, get out of my way. I got an idea and they're not going to let me do it here. So I'm going to go find my own frontier where I don't have to work for anybody and I don't have to be under authority. The truth, though, is that all leadership works best under authority. So you're never going to find a frontier where you can just lead without any restraint at all. So we know that that's not the healthiest. It's just, hey, I can only work alone. I can only work by myself, and I can't work for anyone else. That doesn't really work. But on the flip side, it can't be this passive, until I'm in charge, I'm just waiting. So I'm going to sit back and I'm just going to be a yes man. I'm just going to do exactly what you want me to do. But then once I get in charge, I'm going to pull my gun of authority out and I'm going to wave it around and say, hey, there's a new sheriff in town. It can't be that either. So there's somewhere in the middle. And I think the key really is, who am I doing this for? I mean, this is what's difficult for me. I've done a lot of speaking with secular businesses and organizations, and they asked me real specifically, hey, please don't talk about God. And I can talk about how to lead when you're not in charge without talking about God, but I do think faith has such a huge part of this, because you got to ask the question, who am I doing this for? Like, is the point of leadership to get me more power, to make me more popular, to get people to do what I want them to do? Or is leadership other people doing things to make my career better? Or has God given us the gift of leadership to steward for the good of others, to His glory?
That's perfect.
And I think that's somehow if we can get in the middle and go, which I feel like that's the tension, is to go, hey, can Ken Coleman have ambition? Sure, if he wants to help other people and make their lives better. He better. I mean, and he probably already does. Yeah.
Well, I think you just, this is great, folks. This is so good. All right, we got to park here for a second. Because I'm learning. I'm sitting here and I'm taking notes and I'm learning. I love the analogy. So two things. I love the analogy you just gave of the guy with the gun, right? He wants to be the leader and then he gets the, boy, that's so true. If you only focus on authority, then when you get authority,
you got to use it.
You're so obsessed with authority that you are literally looking for somebody to arrest, just so you can feed this crazy appetite for authority. What I just heard from you, and this was the lesson for me, folks. This is what I'm learning. You do what you want to do with this, folks. But if I am focused on influence and gaining and wielding influence for the good. So it's influence versus authority. Right?
Yes.
So what keeps us healthy, keeps ambition healthy. You're checking ambition on influence versus authority. Yes?
That's right. And so when I get in charge, this is the great flip of this book to me.
Absolutely.
That if I can learn how to lead through influence when I have no authority, when I get it,
ding, ding, ding,
I'm still going to use influence, because that's what great leaders do.
That's right.
Dave Ramsey motivates you not with the gun, but through influence.
That's right.
When I was 21 years old, I was an intern at the state capitol, and I had my desk sat right next to the policy conference room in the governor's office. And I'll never forget, it was a meeting on education, and tension was high. I had already taken some copies of some stuff in there, and then I walked back out to my desk, and I remember overhearing the voices get louder, and then I heard a banging on the table, and this voice bellowed over all the other ones, and this person said, "I am the governor of the state of Georgia. Listen to me." And I had never read a leadership book. I'd never been to a leadership conference, but I remember thinking, something's broken.
Right.
That's not how leadership works.
Didn't even sound right to you.
No. He was waving the gun of authority. He was saying, hey, I am in charge. Do what I say to do. Now, the question is, does that work? Well, yes. I bet in that meeting they went, yes, sir. What do you want us to do? We'll do it. But I also bet they updated their LinkedIn resume if that wasn't such a thing back then, but they would have done that today.
Yeah, they would have.
Because they'd have been like, I don't want to work for somebody who's putting a gun in my back, making me do what they want me to do. So that's the key. To me, that's why this is so important.